Uh, Hello, Damian Corbet. Do I pronounce your name right?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you very much for being my guest today. You are from London and you have a very new book called The Social CEO: How Social Media Can Make You a Stronger Leader. By the way, I would like to learn more about your book, but before it, could you please tell me what you work on, why did you write this book, and who you are? Thank you.
Sure. I mean, my background is in public relations, and I was working in public relations for about 20 years. And it was during that time that I discovered social media and the power of social media. And I was trying to promote it to my to the executives in the company that I worked for, because I saw a lot of value in senior managers and leaders using social media. And I left the company a few years ago, and I'm now a consultant. I write articles. I have the Social CEO book, which has been published, um, and this has always been my interest: is getting CEOs and senior leaders to understand the real potential of social media, because I
Mhm,
think it's still not really understood. So the book is a combination of um, art that really, it's based on some interviews I did with CEOs
mhm,
who use social media. I got them to each contribute a chapter. So we have CEOs from many different sectors, such as travel, media, insurance, startups, um, all sorts of different areas have contributed chapters. And so that's the book has been out now for about a year and a
Since
half, but the
August,
paperback is coming out this month.
this month,
The, the the new edition, yes.
a new
So
edition. Mhm.
yeah, it's the paperback edition is coming out this month, and so yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my background and my reasoning to do the book.
Mhm. Also, you have founded a platform called the Social C-Suite.net. This is the website address. And also,
Yes.
you cover issues related with human rights, charity works, and other things. So, when did you run this web page, and what do you do through this web page, like charity works or blog articles?
Well, I mean, the web page is really more of a blog than anything else. So
Mhm,
it's where I put my interviews with CEOs, where I write articles. I also share some information about the work I do, but that's more to do with the social media side of things and the leadership side of things. But separately from that, I run a number of LinkedIn groups, one of which is the Social C-Suite, which is aligned with my website. But I also run a group called Global Issues
I am a
on
member also.
on LinkedIn.
Sometimes I want you to promote my articles.
Yes, so this is yeah, so Global Issues. This is more of a an interest of mine. I'm not. It's not a commercial endeavor. I do it simply because I'm interested in the world and what's happening in the world, what has happened. History can teach us so much, and where things are going, how we can make things better. So I know LinkedIn groups are not always great in terms of interaction, but what I try to do is encourage people to share their thoughts and their ideas, their research, their writing, to ask questions about the big issues. It might be to do with human rights or equality, climate, the environment, uh, technology, the future, all of these things.
Mhm.
Racism, all of these things are interconnected in some way. So
Yes.
that's what the group is about, is really to just explore these issues in a bit more depth and get
Mhm.
people together to discuss these things. People can make new contacts and that sort of thing.
So you create something like some sort of online networking or social networking through online
Something
platforms.
something like that, yeah. But I mean, just using LinkedIn. I mean, ideally, I would like to. One of my ideas is to develop some sort of social network for people to engage about some of these big issues. But it's that's a very big challenge to create a social
Mhm.
network. I don't have the resources or the time. So what I do is try and use the existing networks
Mhm.
to talk about these things. So LinkedIn, Twitter, I'm starting to explore Clubhouse now. And one of the things
Clubhouse.
I would like to do on Clubhouse is not just to talk about leadership and social media, but to actually discuss some of these global issues as
Mhm.
well, and explore some of these issues. And there are already a lot of groups doing that. So but I'm still learning how the platform works.
It's really new. Also in Turkey, some writers, some academics get engaged in creating some sort of meetings on Clubhouse, but I think only iPhone users can download Clubhouse application, so it's very limited. So, for example, I don't use it at the moment. I'm an Android user, I think.
Yes, this is the problem. It's only iPhone users, and it's a shame because I think it's half of the more than half of the smartphone users cannot use it at the moment.
Yes.
But I think they will open it up soon. I think it was just a matter of uh, the. I don't think that the network has got the capacity to admit more
Mhm,
people, so
mhm.
they're just doing it slowly in stages. And probably everyone in Silicon Valley has iPhones, and that's probably why they do it.
Yes.
It's American after all.
Yes. Uh, so,
So
yes. I would like to learn how can we define online communities? For example, what should I understand from an online community, and how such communities help the individuals during the pandemic days? Is a join clubhouse meeting can be seen as an online community meeting, or because I
I
read
think
something
so.
like this, like online communities besides your interest area, like leadership, human rights, but also online communities. So I would like to ask it, what is it?
I think online communities can be anything. I mean, a Zoom call, I suppose, is an online community if you think about it. It's people engaging remotely. And I mean, online communities are also social networks, but I like to think of it slightly different because social networking is, we can think of things like Twitter or LinkedIn, people just sharing stuff and talking. But an online community is about conversations. So I'm interested in trying to find how people can engage more online, to have proper conversations. And obviously, something like Clubhouse is a very new, and that is it's a community in a way, but it's very temporary because you have your conversation and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it doesn't stay. But it's an interesting experiment, I think, Clubhouse. But something like a LinkedIn group, for example, you join the group, you're a member, and you
Yes.
can see who all the other members are. You can contact them. You can have separate conversations. Excuse
Yes.
me. You can then have separate conversations with these people. So that's how I see as a community. And I'm just interested in how they develop, how they evolve, and where we are going with these communities. That's something that interests me.
Mhm. Did you experience any kind of change really in the pandemic days? Because we know that everyone is getting more remotely working, or the homeschooling numbers have increased. But did we really get online in a successful way? Because when we take a look at the world, because of the maybe uneven development, I mean the globalization phenomenon. I don't know how I can say it. Uh,
Phenomenon. I know it's a
Yes, phenomenon. So there's an unequal development all over the world. So in the third world, the people cannot reach internet, or they don't have any social media profiles. How can you? I mean, what do you think about all these inequalities? How can we fight these inequalities
Oh,
for a better world?
well, I mean, the inequalities are there. There's no denying that, and it is unfair because, even if you look at something like Clubhouse, if you don't have an iPhone, you're not part of the club. you know,
Yes.
and if you live in a poor country with no infrastructure and you don't have the money for a phone, you don't have the internet, you're not a member of that community or that club. Even if you want to, you can't
Mhm.
join. So, it, I mean, there's no easy answer to this. I mean, these are some of the issues I look at in the global issues group, is to explore how we can try and make the world more equal. But it's a
Mhm.
very difficult question because this technology that we're using now, we're using laptops, we're using phones. These are all developed nearly always in America, which is, they develop things for the American market and then for the more developed markets. They don't develop things for markets that don't have money, because that's all about making money. So we use these tools, but we're actually we're helping to perpetuate the inequality. You know,
Capitalism.
because if you think of Silicon Valley, what it does is it's an exclusive club, and
Mhm.
they are just perpetuating that exclusivity. So I can't really answer the question because there is no easy answer. All we can do is acknowledge that there is inequality and try and find ways to maybe make access to technology easier,
Yes.
people cheaper, things like that.
Mhm.
But that is also down to the governments of many countries to be, you know, to invest in infrastructure for their population to make technology more accessible.
Yes.
And you know, this is a problem in many countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where there's a lot of corruption and a lot of
Lack
you
of
know,
rule of law.
people giving jobs to friends and family, and the money is not
Yes.
distributed uh, uh, fairly.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. Actually, we all have such problems. Also, in my country, there are such problems. I would like to pass down, pass. No, I would like to make a change to your book. In your book, I read it the information on about this on Amazon. It says that it's not enough just to hire social media managers, but also your company should get social to survive. So a big company or in a company in today's trade system or today's world, in addition to hiring successful social media managers, what should leaders do in order to survive in a competitive market?
I think that the leaders themselves needs to understand social media. This is the key thing that I think that unless the people who run the companies understand social media and the social age that we live in, all they will do is hire people to do that, and they won't actually understand it themselves. So I think social media managers are important, but I think the leadership needs to get social as well. That's very important. And because if the leaders are social and they understand social media and they understand its importance and they use it themselves, then it will trickle down to the rest of the organization and it will become a social organization, because then the rest of the employees will then have permission to use social media because the leaders are using it, and they will then
Mhm.
feel that they can use it as well.
Yes. By the way, can we see the social age and technology age as two different things, or are they similar? Because generally people say that we live in a technology age, we live in an information age, but I didn't hear much like social age. So are
Well,
they
the
similar?
social age is just part of that. I mean, it's we live in a technological age in that's the age we live in. It's about technology, but the social age is something that is aligned with that. It's part of it. It's a small part of it, the social media aspect of it, but it's
Mhm,
only a small part of it. So, but
mhm,
I think it's an important part because so many people now have got access to social media and use it for their news and to find out and to argue and to get information. Often it's used to bypass the mainstream media.
mhm.
So that's why it's important to understand social media, because you know, even if you look at what happened in America and with the politics in America over the last few years, with Donald Trump using social media
Yes.
and lots of misinformation, you know, and this is where it can be used for negative effect. You know, there's a lot of misinformation and lies being shared. So, you know, so it's important for people to understand it and to actually expose the untruth and to use it to show the truth as well. And you know, I don't think. I mean, I still believe in the importance of mainstream media, but it's
Mhm,
not enough. You know, we have to understand social media as well,
mhm.
to make our way through the world these days.
Yes. Uh, on the other hand, while writing this book, did you and it has got chapters written by practicing social CEOs, it says. So while making the compilation of such chapters, did you what kind of challenges or threats did you no, I don't want to say notice, but did you run? I know that we all know it, also you know it, like this digital threats or data security problems, privacy problems, how can we manage them? Or is your book covering addressing such problems for the company holders or company bosses or other individuals in the
There
social
is a,
age?
yeah, I mean, there is a chapter in the book about risk,
A
but
risk.
it's not so much about cyber risk. It's more about the risk of using social media. Uh, I think cyber risk is something different. That's about being hacked and all that sort of thing. From my point of view, it's just about using social media in a sensible way. Of course, if somebody hacks your account and pretends to be you, then that's a problem. But then that's where you have to have, if you are the CEO of a large company, you have to make sure that you have the right infrastructure in place to protect. But my interest is in the risk of the individual actually using social media. So the CEO of such and such company, what they say it, how they respond to things on social media, that is a challenge as well. And that can be a threat in the sense that if you say the wrong thing, it
Mm-hmm.
can affect your share price. It can affect your customers. It can, it can affect many things. If you are Elon Musk, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk owns the company. He can say what he wants. It doesn't matter. He can make his share price go down if he wants, because he's got that much power and that much money. But if you are just employed as a CEO and you are responsible to all the other employees, and you have to be careful what you say. So that's why it was important to have a chapter on risk in the book,
Mm-hmm.
to look at those things and make sure that people know what they're doing when they
Yes.
go out onto social media.
I see. So for the last 5 minutes, what would your recommendations or advices to the people, to the individuals who are actively using social media? Because everyone has maybe more than one profile on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram. I even like, I have Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, also like Reddit or other Quora,
Mhm.
something like such platforms. So, do you think that we should like make these accounts interacted with each other? I mean, how can we best manage all these profiles in a efficient way?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good question. I think that for me, I keep them separate. So for
Mm,
me, LinkedIn and Twitter are my kind of professional networks. That's where I do my networking and where I share my blogs and where I talk about my work. And now more and more Clubhouse as well will become that. Facebook is something I use very, very privately. My account is very private. No one can access my account except my friends and family, and I keep it that way. Instagram, again, I use Instagram a lot, but I use it just for photography. So I go out and I take a lot of pictures
mhm.
of nature and trees and plants and sunsets, and that's what I use Instagram for. I do have an Instagram account for the social C-suite where I share information about social media. But really, to answer your question, I think it's possible to keep them separate. For example, some people, they set it up so that if they post something on LinkedIn, it is automatically posted to Twitter.
Yes, yes.
And I don't really agree with that. I think it looks a bit fake, and people can see that been
Non-professional, maybe.
it's not professional. So I think keep them all separate. It's still possible to do it all, to be organized. You can have some of these um, what are the things like Hootsuite or Buffer, where you can have like a dashboard, and you can
Yes.
or TweetDeck, where you can have all these different accounts on one dashboard, and then you can tweet different things and post different things. I don't bother to do that. I just keep them separately, and
Mhm.
my professional work I do professionally, and my private work I do privately, and I just keep them separate.
Yes, because when you have a public account, for example, on Twitter, I have a public account, so I don't share personal things like songs or my own personal feelings. I don't want to share it on Twitter, but on Facebook, only friends. Also, I have lots of friends, but on Facebook, I feel more comfortable. But on Twitter, I don't want to write down everything. So on
Yes,
LinkedIn, just
because
my professional.
yeah, because I think on LinkedIn and Twitter, anyone can see what you say. So you have to be more careful. Whereas if it's Facebook and only your friends and your connections can see it, that's different. So I think people feel more comfortable sharing personal things on Facebook. I mean, I personally don't use Facebook much anymore, actually. I only use it to manage a couple of pages. I have some Facebook pages, which I don't use much, but I only use Facebook to manage them. I don't do much on there personally anymore. I've sort of stopped in the last 6 months.
Your blog has a Facebook page. I also like
Yes, I
this.
have. Yeah, that's right. But I don't update it very much, unfortunately. I should.
Yes, I see. But it seems really inspiring. I followed them a little bit lately. I know, but they are really inspiring and interesting. As my last question, should every CEO or company boss hold a Twitter account or like a personal? I mean, hold a social media profile. They should have a social media profile in order to
I,
follow the news or promote themselves.
I think it's difficult because you cannot force people to do it. Some people are comfortable on social media, some people are not, and some people will never be comfortable. So you can't force them to do it. I think for those who are, I think for the younger bosses who are coming through, I think it's important for them to do it because I think it's expected now. You know,
Yes.
at least on LinkedIn, but more and more on Twitter. So employees, if they are applying for a job and the boss is not on LinkedIn, Twitter, they will find that very strange. So I think it's necessary from that point of view. Whether they want to share a lot of thoughts, I think that's up to them. I would encourage them to do so, but it depends on the industry. If some bosses are in very controversial industries, for example, weapons or tobacco or alcohol or something where it might be controversial, maybe they don't want to be visible. You know,
Yes.
so it depends on the industry. You know, some mining companies, they get attacked by environmentalists. You know, so being the CEO of a mining company, maybe it's better to keep your head down. You know, so
Yes.
it depends. But for most industries, I think it's valuable. But I think the last thing I would say is that to do it properly, they need to have some support internally, perhaps somebody who understands social media who can help them, or external support. But they should get help and a bit of training first if they're not
Yes.
sure, and then have support as they go along, so that they there's less chance of them making mistakes then.
Thank you very much. Really, I learned many things from you today, and it was really interesting. Your book, The Social CEO: How Social Media Can Make You a Stronger Leader. I'm gonna put it down the video. Also, people can buy it from Amazon, right? From Amazon or others.
Yes, they can wait for Amazon. The UK edition comes out in March, but it can be ordered anywhere. I think 18th of March is published, and then it can be pre-ordered now. But after March, it can be ordered and delivered anywhere in the world. So
Really
um,
good.
thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking
It's
to you,
my
and I found
pleasure,
it
actually. I
very
really
interesting.
appreciate. I appreciate because I know that you are very busy. I also saw that you post on Twitter these clubhouse meetings, also on LinkedIn. I see sometimes. I really appreciate. It was a very fruitful dialogue conversation. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Really, I'm very
It's a
pleased to meet
pleasure.
with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you too. Likewise.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.